Commissioner of the Environment.
Great. Thank you, Ben. Thank you for getting us started. And I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And on behalf of Mayor Walsh, I'd really like to welcome you to this new collaboration between the City of Boston and Eversource. As Ben said, this is the Building Energy Retrofit Resource Hub. So as most as you know, Mayor Walsh established for the city a goal of carbon neutrality by 2050. And that goal is the foundation of last year's update of our climate action plan. As that plan and previous ones made clear, buildings account for 3/4 of our carbon emissions, which means that reducing carbon emissions from buildings is an essential task for reducing the risks from climate change. Since the start of our work on climate and energy, and that goes back more than 10 years, the City of Boston has worked closely with Eversource and our other energy providers to make it easier for large building owners, operators, and tenants to track their energy use, make their buildings more efficient, reduce energy use and carbon emissions, and improve health and productivity and save money. This is a task that the city has taken on for its own facilities. Through our Renew Boston Trust program, we are systematically reducing energy use and carbon emissions in our own buildings. And last year, Mayor Walsh signed an executive order requiring all new buildings to meet a carbon neutral standard. As laid out in last year's Climate Action Plan, we are now developing a carbon performance standard for all large buildings, which themselves account for nearly 50% of the city's carbon emissions. That means they count for about 2/3 of all emissions from buildings. The standards we are developing, and many of you I know are participating in that process, will be high, but they will be achievable. And as we put them in place, we also want to make sure that there are resources for you to draw on that will help you to meet them. That is the purpose of the Building Energy Retrofit Resource Hub, which Steve Miller from Eversource is going to explain in a minute. It will assist you in doing your part in meeting the goals that are so important for all of us. So thank you for your continued partnership and commitment to a carbon neutral future for Boston. Thanks to Eversource for their commitment to this work. Thanks to the environment team that helped put this event together, Allison Brizius, Kat Eschel, Ben Silverman, and Kathleen Hart. And now it is my pleasure to turn the program over to Steve Miller, Eversource's energy efficiency consultant. Steve.
Thanks, Carl, and thank you, Ben, for the intro here, and welcome everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to fall. I am Steve Miller. I am an energy efficiency consultant for Eversource. And in this role, I am essentially the one-stop shop for access to mass save programs to help customers meet their obligations to the city using the Boston Building Energy Retrofit Hub. The hub is designed to be a resource for customers. We've got dedicated intake and telephone lines that you can call and use. That information is then given to me, and then I find the proper pathway depending upon the building type you are and the building size, and we can work together to make sure you have the proper pathway to help use mass save programs and an energy efficiency approach to meet the obligations under the Borough Ordinance. So if you could advance the slide, Ben. Just pointing out on this slide that telephone number, the 781-441-3010, and the Boston Energy Consultant at eversource.com is the dedicated intake line that anybody can use to get a hold of Eversource and to have access to either your account executive or your vendor-driven programs, depending on the type of customer that you are. Ben, can you move the slide? There we go. Thank you very much. So again, this is designed to be a one-stop shop, and it's designed to support comprehensive planning, specifics to the uniqueness of your facility and your buildings and your appetite to pick on these projects. Provide guidance, dedicated Eversource energy efficiency teams, vendor referrals, and specialized building techniques. We go back one, Ben. Thanks. So the idea is to have access to all the mass save programs that would be appropriate for your building to engage with, to implement projects that save electricity and with our partners in National Grid and National Gas to help move the city forward in their goals. We also have builder operator certificate training. These are dedicated training classes for facility staff. These are very, very popular classes. In fact, this year is already signed up and booked full. If you ping on the website, the doc.info, that's all the information about those classes, what they do, what the agendas are, how you can sign up for them. They'll be coming back again in the spring. Very effective in terms of training your staff on advanced techniques of using your existing systems in your building to become more efficient. And our energy efficiency offerings and incentives are based on customer types and size. So we have a relationship with customers that negotiate incentives, put them again on the right program path, and work with our internal teams and vendor partners to implement energy efficiency projects that help, again, move the city forward. Next slide, please, Ben. One more slide, Ben. Thank you. With the Building Any Retrofit program, we can help you with a whole wide range of energy efficiency options. We can look at upgrades and optimizations of the HVAC systems through physical capital projects or through retrocommissioning opportunities. Lighting and lighting controls. We have new lighting projects, lighting programs that are designed to streamline the application process. They're very effective and they allow us to engage quicker and faster and get projects in the ground faster. Again, retrocommissioning of building controls is a very popular program. Doing this across the city using the existing BAS systems to tweak the existing buildings and bring them back to their proper optimization. We have incentives that help manage that and help provide support for those programs. And also looking at heating upgrades and pipe installation and around the idea of electrification, heat pump installations, and moving away from some of the fossil fuels. So a wide range of programs and a wide range of technologies that we can touch and help with to support implementation of projects. So use the dedicated telephone number, 781-441-3101, something, I think that's it. And then the Boston Building Energy Consultant at Eversource.com. That's your best way to get into the system, and I can help you point you in the right direction. Next slide, Ben.
Okay.
Great, thanks.
Thank you, Steve. And sorry, I turned off my video here as I think I'm having some delay issues. We want to spend a lot of time answering your questions. Steve gave a fantastic overview of what this program, what this hub is going to be providing, and and how Steve and folks in Eversource are going to help assist you in connecting you to some excellent resources and opportunities. But this is an opportunity to ask further. So you can use the chat for asking questions. I will read out questions one by one, and Steve and myself will try to answer them. You can also use the raise your hand feature, and we'll call on people as they emerge. We asked you only that you try and keep your questions to less than a minute if you're doing so. But I believe we already have some chat questions. So, oh, it was just Steve asking. Yeah, so as Steve indicated, please ask your questions either through the chat function or by using the hand raise function. So first I'm seeing a question from Mark. Can Eversource provide incentives for heating upgrades and installation if the customer is only an electric taker? Steve?
Great question, Mark, thanks. Well, we would partner and bring in our partner, National Grid, on the gas side. And depending upon what the ultimate end solution might be, it might be a combination between the two utilities. But certainly we would bring in National Grid. We have National Grid as a part of this program. Eversource is the lead, but yeah, we can make that happen, Mark. Thanks.
Great. We have a question from Ellen on how will this be accessible? Is it via contact to Eversource? I think the answer to that is yes, that the email and phone number that Steve had indicated will send you to Eversource, and the city is assisting and helping spread the word on this program. Does it sound about right?
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that by using the dedicated intake line or email is that we track it, we make sure that we've identified what type of customer you are, we have an initial conversation about what you're trying to achieve, and then I make sure that you are put in touch with the appropriate Eversource partner that makes sense for your buildings.
Great. I have a couple questions now. A question from Deborah. Will this hub offer enhanced incentives? Oh, wait, excuse me, Linda was first. Does the program provide subsidies to owners of large buildings or help them get financial help towards upgrades?
So I'm just trying to scroll to that question again.
Yeah.
Does the building provide subsidies? Yeah, we provide subsidies in terms of incentives based on the energy savings that is achieved by the project. And there are financial resources that are available, usually through a third party, but we can make sure that that's connected up as well.
Excellent. Next was Deborah. Will this hub offer enhanced incentives better than the existing programs through the utility? So I believe they're referring to the strategic energy efficiency partnerships.
Right. Well, this program and the hub is designed to provide customers access to the existing mass save programs. So it's a partnership with the city, but the preferred and ideal path for customers to meet their BURDO obligations is through implementing energy efficiency projects through mass save. So we are utilizing the existing programs and utilities.
Great. Nancy asks, in terms of electrical costs for older housing units can be expensive. Is there any funding that can be used to help with the cost of updating wiring and any partnerships with unions?
Well, on the Eversource side, all the incentive money comes out of a fund that is paid into by every ratepayer in the state. And so we have to be very careful with incentives that when we pay out an incentive on a project, the project generates energy savings. That's the justification for spending public money. While I can appreciate wiring is an issue, if that project is associated with an energy saving project, we can work together to see what can happen. Traditionally, if a project is associated with kilowatt hour or natural gas therms reduction, then the incentive can be achieved.
Okay. That's what I have right now. Other folks feel free to jump in. Oh, good. Are community solar options currently available through Eversource for urban high-rise commercial buildings with limited roof capacity?
It's not a traditional program for us, but there are partners within the community, within the area, that can support you on that, and we can make sure that we can put you in touch with those partners.
That's great. And just as other people are writing up the questions, what's on the screen now is the webpage on the boston.gov talking about the resource hub as well as the phone number and email addresses connecting you all to Eversource. Another question from Mark. Will incentives be based on BTU saved or GHG emissions saved when seeking things such as heat pump installation or other heating upgrades if going from gas to electric?
So Mark, on these type of projects, we would be traditionally utilizing kilowatt hours and therms as a way of evaluating an incentive. How that gets translated into GHG reductions in terms of the BURDO obligation, that strategy is still being pushed through, but certainly we want to translate anything that we do into a GHG reduction. So we can work together to make that happen, but the incentives themselves are based on kilowatt hours and therms saved.
Excellent. And then a question from William. Are there programs for batteries for large commercial buildings?
Yes, there are. And that becomes a little specialized and a little geeky for this session. So if you've got that inquiry, ping me on the email address, and we can put you in touch with the right people who are working within that market.
That's great. So I'm seeing so far. We'll give it a little bit more time as other people write up more questions.
I'd also offer up, if there's anybody else in Eversource here that would like to expand upon what I've been talking about, feel free to share.
Great. I got a question from Deborah. Will Eversource be incentivizing geothermal systems or looking to set up micro districts for customers to tie into?
Great question. Certainly something we're looking into. It's certainly something we want to pursue. There's not a definitive program for it. But again, reach out and then we can put you in touch with the right people who are working in that sector. And there are people in Eversource that are working in that sector.
A question from Mark. How does this differ from the normal incentive program route?
For you specifically, Mark, it doesn't change that. You have an account executive and an EEC team for your facility. It's designed really for those customers that may not have a dedicated resource like you have, Mark, but may need an easier way to connect with us than to go through the website, to go through Mass Save. So it's just designed to be a one-stop shop for giving all customers access to the Mass Save programs.
Great. And just to say that I think there are folks who are still who joined in a little late. We've gone through an overview of this Resource Hub program, and now folks are asking individual questions that Steve and myself, and mostly Steve, are helping to answer. And again, if there's any other, as Steve indicated, if any other folks from Eversource on the call, welcome to join in as well.
Ben, did we decide that after this we were going to follow up with all the attendees and send out some follow-up information?
Yep. So Kathleen could comment as well on that, but we will be following up, sending an email out to the attendees and as well as the folks who registered and may not have been able to attend with things such as recording, the slide deck, but also importantly, the web links, the email addresses and phone numbers. So if you, for those coming in late or otherwise would want to learn more about this, we'll be sending out follow-up emails to you in the coming days. From Mark, are there any new incentive programs or ones that are likely to come? What do you see on the horizon?
I do see changes happening. It's nothing formal yet, Mark, but clearly we need to get aggressive to meet our goals and to help the city meet their goals with their customers and our customers. So I would say work closely with your team and with me, and we can make sure that we can work out what your needs are.
And this is a, sorry, I just was informed my internet connection's unstable, but yeah, so this is an area which the city knows there's much more work to be done, but we're looking to the future to new opportunities. But this is a great opportunity now on helping to connect folks, especially those covered by the BERDO program, to the present available resources. But we all know that there will need to be more resources available in the future as well.
A few other people coming into the waiting room.
Yes. So yeah, once again, for those coming in a little late, we're doing Q&A at the moment about the Retrofit Resource Hub. Steve Miller from Eversource is helping to answer people's questions. This presentation was recorded, and we will be providing those recordings, the slides, as well as the links to folks in the coming days. So don't fear if you had missed some of the earlier parts of the presentation. But once again, I want to ask if folks have any more questions or ideas. Please add them to the chat or use the raise hand function if you so desire, and we will call on you and answer your questions.
I guess for those that have joined a little bit late into the program, just a quick summary. This resource hub that is a partnership with the city and Eversource is really designed, as outlined in this slide, to be a one-stop shop for large and medium buildings. To connect with us and find your right path in terms of an energy efficiency approach to projects, and help the city meet their goals around greenhouse gas reduction.
Question from Linda. Other than this event and the EOS webpage, how will the city publicize this resource hub? I can answer that briefly. That we have the existing Berto listserv of all the reporting buildings, and we will be sending out links to these resources to folks and be incorporating the links and the information about this resource hub into our future communications with folks covered by Berto, and similar to those to the Greennovate listserv. So we are going to be building on top of our existing lines of communication that we've developed with the covered buildings of Berto for making sure people are aware of it. I also have a question from Alexandra. As someone who was having technical issues early and joined late, how is equity being considered? For example, starting projects in communities that are economically disadvantaged. No, that's an excellent question. And I think, as Steve had mentioned earlier on, one of the goals of this resource hub is to provide a one-stop shop approach to energy efficiency, resources, and incentives, and with a big focus for those covered buildings that are specifically might not have the internal capacity to have dedicated people working on these sorts of questions, and that Steve will be helping to provide that assistance to many buildings such as those in those communities, disadvantaged areas that may need additional resources and assistance in connecting to the Mass Save programs and other incentives.
Yeah, that's right, Ben. It's designed really, I mean, a lot of buildings within the city have a dedicated team. A lot of buildings don't. And from my experience, buildings that don't have a dedicated team sometimes don't have the resources nor the staff. And so the idea of the resource hub and the dedicated intake telephone number and email address is to provide easy access to Eversource, and then I'll help you guide you through the process.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions, especially for those who may have been joining a little late? Once again, we'll be sending out recordings from today, as well as a slide deck and links to everyone. And both Steve and myself are accessible to answer any questions you might want to have offline. But this is, sort of new opportunity and new chance to, help both the BRDO covered buildings as well as buildings across the city access the resources needed to improve efficiency, lower energy costs, and lower greenhouse gas emissions. Andrew's asked, how will you track the usefulness of the hub?
That's a great question. We will be tracking every intake that we get and making sure that those inquiries are handled in the proper manner and in a timely manner, and hopefully those turn into projects. But clearly this is a little bit of a different approach in terms of partnership with the city. And we want to, this is a model that we think has good possibilities, and we're going to track it real close because I think that it's something, at least from Eversource's perspective, we could use in other communities throughout our service territory in New England.
Yep. I will say that we had reserved this time for an hour. So if folks wish to have more questions, please proceed. If folks have gone out a lot of the questions they already have, there's nothing stopping us from ending a little early, but I want to be sure that any questions or thoughts have the chance to be aired. You're welcome. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you as well, Rebecca. We appreciate it.
I just want to point out one more time on this slide, the Boston Energy Consultant at eversource.com and the 441-3010 number, which is a dedicated intake line that you can call or email. It goes directly to me. I log it in and I'll call you back and we'll have a conversation and we'll figure out your best path.
Okay. So if there aren't any other questions, I will thank you, Kathleen, for posting that link. So you can take that link to the City of Boston page that has an overview of the resource hub as well as the dedicated email address and phone numbers. But I want to just once again thank you all for joining us today. This is a exciting opportunity for collaboration between the city and Eversource, and we're very looking forward to seeing the types of beneficial projects and energy efficiency work that will come from it. So thank you all. We'll be, as said before, we'll be following up with a recording of this webinar as well as the links and information as indicated. And hope you all have a lovely day and have a good lunch.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.